Have you ever felt like a deer caught in headlights whenever your crystal ball goes blank? Like you're trying to direct traffic in your mind, every thought a stop sign, every plan a gridlock. Here's a bold question. What if your obsessive craving for certainty is the very thing making life hellish? Think about it. You're sprinting on a treadmill of goals, checking off spreadsheets of future plans, yet anxiety still texted you at 3 a.m. asking, "New plan? Who are we kidding?" You're probably laughing right now because you know the drill. You schedule sleep, pack your lunch the night before, and micromanage your calendar like a NASA launch sequence, all hoping nothing unexpected blows up your perfect plan. But spoiler, life is not a PowerPoint presentation. I'm not here to sell you another miracle 5-step plan for guaranteed success, because those are almost always surprise full of bullshit. I'm here to tell you why that plan is the problem. This video is going to dive headfirst into the brilliance of Michel de Montaigne, a 16th century French thinker, who basically said, "There is nothing certain but uncertainty." Yup, the OG skeptic who knew way back then that clinging to certainty is just as useless as buffering anxiety over unknowns. We'll pick apart our culture's toxic obsession with control, from hustle talk gurus to your over-coffee-toxed morning routine, and see how it just feeds anxiety. We'll explore Montaigne's radical humility. Hint, it's about admitting we know jack, tear into the pompous claim of every modern expert, and even learn a thing or two from Zen, Taoism, and Stoicism about dancing with doubt instead of fighting it. Buckle up. We're ripping the band-aid off your need to know the answer. Drop a comment right now if you've ever felt queasy about an unplanned day, or if you smugly say, "Me, I love surprises." Come on, nobody really does. Are you secretly a planner fanatic or proud wing-it champion? Either way, hit me with your thoughts below, and let's get this intellectual brawl started. Remember that time you freaked out because you forgot your phone at home and thought, "My life is over. Welcome to the club of control addicts." Society, with a capital S, has convinced us that being an anxious control freak is the responsible, adult thing to do. We're taught to plan every step, schedule every second, and obsessively tame the chaos. Hustle culture loves it when you run yourself ragged. Productivity apps, color-coded planners, $10 motivational coffee, all pitched as tools to manage uncertainty. But the irony is, the more you try to nail life down, the more life giggles at you and changes plans. Think about modern scenarios. A startup entrepreneur writes a 10-year business strategy on a glass wall, only to have the market flip overnight. A recent grad pulls an all-nighter studying manifesting success videos on YouTube and wakes up with crippling anxiety when their plan for fame doesn't pan out. A burned-out professional learns to code AI self-care bots to predict stress triggers, only to have the AI spit out a plan B, get a cat. None of this is far-fetched, it's our normal. We've literally turned everyday life into an algorithm we think we can crack, yet we still crash whenever reality throws a rotten banana peel on our path. This obsession is corrosive. It's the very fuel for anxiety and mental health spirals. Clinical psychologists even have a term for this: intolerance of uncertainty. They've shown it's a major risk factor for anxiety disorders, OCD, even depression. In other words, refusing to accept maybe or what if in life rewires your brain to panic mode. You know that hotline anxiety number on speed dial. Blame it on intolerance of uncertainty. You are trying to outrun an ever-moving finish line, but don't just take my word. Montaigne saw this centuries ago. He observed that people were drunk on their successes and unable to act when things got real. All the precautions that a man can take are full of uneasiness and uncertainty, he wrote. Even preparing for the worst with tight control is anxious, yet we hoodwink ourselves thinking, if I just plan enough, nothing bad will happen. We nod along to the latest business productivity hack and churn out another risk management PowerPoint as if that will stop surprise. Let's be honest, planning isn't inherently evil. Yes, having a general direction is smart, but recognize the joke on us. The moment we decide that life is a sure thing, we become the punchline. Remember Titanic. They planned that ship to be unsinkable, and then we all know how that turned out. Planning is responsible. It's obsessing and projecting your idea of perfect outcome onto a wild universe that's the problem. Obsession with control kills creativity, spontaneity, and joy. It makes every unplanned glitch feel like you personally failed your life's mission, rather than just a new data point. So next time your inner control freak urges you to overschedule, remind it, reality has a better sense of humor than you do. As the Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron puts it, fighting change is suffering, but relaxing into life's groundlessness can be liberating. When you embrace uncertainty instead of fearing it, anxiety loses its grip. Now that our control cling has been exposed for the anxiety machine it is, let's talk about the guy who famously laughed at any pretension of knowing exactly how life works, Montaigne. Imagine a French aristocrat from the 1500s in a giant velvet robe shrugging. I don't have a fucking clue either, buddy. Montaigne's essays were basically one big shrug of humility toward the universe. He admitted he had more contradictions in him than your last online dating profile. His motto. Not knowing was okay, even profound. He writes about how our senses themselves are fuzzy, so everything we think we perceive is warped. In plain English, if your own eyes and brain can't be sure about reality, what makes you so damn certain about anything? Contrast this with today's scene. In every corner of the internet, some self-proclaimed guru or expert is peddling certainty. They've got 10-step blueprints to enlightenment, secret formulas to success that usually end in affiliating with their course, and one-sided affirmations that you will definitely be rich in 30 days. Cue eye roll. Montaigne would call that intellectual arrogance plain and simple. He'd probably point out that true wisdom starts with knowing you don't know. Socrates had a similar angle. I only know that I know nothing. Think about those modern-day pundits. The TikTok life coaches with 2 million followers, glowing advice captions, and precisely one failed method before success. Or the expert coworker who has an opinion on everything from keto diets to cryptocurrency and never admitted being even a teensy bit wrong. They spew confidence like it's free propane, yet flip positions when the wind blows. Montaigne would smirk at that. The thing about humility is you don't have to shove your ignorance in people's faces. It shows as you explore things. He kept notebooks because he believed the act of writing helped undress his mind, revealing how messy and incomplete we all are. Now ask yourself, how many of your opinions are genuinely yours? Or did you borrow them from the last trending debate on X or the hot take from the group chat? No shame, we've all Googled hot takes of the day at midnight. Here's a kicker. What if I told you your brain is like a download cache, temporarily storing whatever meme or mentor you last panned for a bit of relevance? It takes Montaigne-level courage to admit some beliefs are just algorithms in your head. Let's get real, being wrong sometimes is actually good news. It means you're learning. When Montaigne said we must question everything, he meant everything, including what the experts tell us. Alan Watts said, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. That means don't pretend you have the choreography all figured out before the music even starts. Stop waiting for the perfect playlist of advice gurus. Start listening to the music of confusion and improvisation. So please, for your own sanity, take this to heart. You can be lost. You can say, I don't know. In fact, Montaigne once wrote that doubt is the father of wisdom. Well, he wrote it in 16th century French, but that's the gist. When you loosen your grip on knowing it all, you free up your brain to actually notice what's happening. Instead of stifling your curiosity with a, oh, I already know, start asking, what if I'm wrong? What can I learn? It's soul-rattling at first. But trust me, it's way more fun than pretending to have your life all sewed up in a boring gray suit. Next up, let's flip the script on identity. In our culture, we obsess over defining who we are. Your career title, your personal brand, your vibe, your political stance, as if these labels are tattooed on our forehead by destiny. Montaigne said, there is no man so tiresome of himself as the man who never changes. In other words, human nature is like a chameleon on a kaleidoscope. It wants to keep changing colors, yet we cling to fixed identities as if they were special snowflakes. We're terrified to admit we once thought differently or wore that goofy hat last year. Consider pop culture icons. Taylor Swift went from country sweetheart to pop legend to indie experimentalist, and fans celebrate it, saying it shows her growth. But when you change your mind, oh boy, suddenly you're flip-flopper or not dependable. Politicians know this too. Flip-flopping is scandalous unless they throw an impressive charm. Then it's called leadership vision. But Montaigne was already a big believer in inner contradiction. He famously suggested that he was the matter of his book, constantly in flux, writing down his day-by-day change of mind. He essentially ran the first personal blog in book form. His message, embrace your contradictions. So here's the provocative bit. Maybe that fixed identity you've built for yourself is a prison. Maybe your always politically right friend hasn't thought it through for a while. Maybe you switching a major belief doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're alive and learning. Montaigne would chuckle at our identity rigidity. He wrote something like, I am myself the matter of my book. He didn't lock himself into one type. He sampled life, ideas, loves, tragedies, and wrote down whatever came to mind. The man wore 16th century ruffled shirts to a rock concert of ideas. Let's bring in philosophy and a little practical help. Socrates would surely high-five Montaigne's approach. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor no less, wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, which basically says, your contradictions and uncertainties are the path to strength, not roadblocks. But here's Montaigne's daily antidote to rigid thinking that you can steal for yourself. Journaling, writing to observe the self. Montaigne wrote essays to himself as if he were chatting with a curious stranger. Try it. Keep a diary or even voice memos where you rant, admit confusion, or outline a shaky plan. Use it like a brain MRI to see what actually moves inside. You might find your once ironclad beliefs wobbling a bit on paper, and that's progress. Remember, the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. But to do that, you first have to know you at any given moment, not the person you pretend to be. Laughing at yourself, Montaigne was not above mockery. He made fun of his own nervous maladies, like endless hiccups, instead of crying about them. The modern equivalent: watch a video of you fumbling through a so-called perfect morning routine. Notice you spilled coffee on your shirt, LOL. Turn on a comedy at your own expense. Because a little humor deflates the balloon of self-importance that fuels need everything perfect thinking. Creating room for mental silence. In Montaigne's day, people jotted down lunch stuff in notebooks and spent a lot of time staring at the ceiling, no scrolling. Today, try actual stillness. Meditate even if just 2 minutes, stare out a window, or take a walk without your phone. Silence refills that cup of perspective so you don't rely on the next audiobook or the hottest meme for truth. Montaigne liked to take long walks and contemplate. He knew that letting your mind wander actually grounds you. Embracing contradiction also means giving yourself permission to change your mind. Think of it as a superpower, not a flaw. You wouldn't demand your phone never update its OS, would you? It updates because life runs on updated info. You are just running on beta software that occasionally needs patches like new opinions, new philosophies, politically, philosophically, or just your favorite pizza topping. Let it change. The alternative is living in some medieval castle of the mind that time forgot. Okay, you've loosened your death grip on certainty and control, beliefs, identity. Now let's zoom out. What if uncertainty isn't a bug in the matrix, but the fundamental feature of the human experience? Embracing uncertainty is more than a personal coping strategy. It's like acknowledging the universe's open source code. The Taoists and Stoics and Zen masters got this. In Taoism, they call it Wu Wei, the art of effortless action, or more poetically, the way that appears when no effort is made. Lao Tzu basically said, "Let reality be reality." Flow like water, the classical paraphrase. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them, that only creates sorrow. Eventually, you realize that shaking your fist at uncertainty is like yelling at the clouds for raining. Zen Buddhism similarly points out that attachment to fixed ideas, outcomes, even to being the doer of actions, is the root of suffering. It's like carrying a heavy backpack labeled expectations everywhere. Zen would have you drop it. Stoicism, in a witty twist, agrees on this from a differently phrased angle. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who used to be a slave, talk about getting a grip on life, gave us the serenity prayer before it was cool. Control what you can, accept what you can't. He said, don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace. Translation: if you want calm, learn to dance with life's chaos instead of shoving it off the dance floor. Bonus Stoic tip: practice negative visualization. Imagine losing your phone, your job, your Wi-Fi. Scary. Good, you'll see you can survive the panic and recalibrate. Now add uncertainty on top. Maybe the project you're working on is canceled, or you meet someone amazing on a day you have no plans. Life's full of what-ifs. Why not center it around them? Long-term mindset shifts. Start thinking in gears of and. Instead of I must have X and not Y, try I might get X or maybe Y and I'll live with either. Replace labels with curiosity. Corporate rebel, art enthusiast, anxious overthinker can all describe one person at once. Stop choosing sides in every debate. Allow paradox. Real freedom often comes when we stop trying to nail down what life is and instead focus on how we experience it. Do you exist to lock a neat, achievement unlocked badge for life? Or do you exist to experience life in all its unplanned glory? Think long-term. Surviving in our unpredictable world is a skill. Post-COVID economic bubbles, AI booms, fortune cookies told us nothing. We're going to keep facing chaos. The more you can chill with the unknown, the less life panics you. And yes, that means living a life without labels on hard mode. Dancing with doubt will keep you adaptable. If we have to scrap our big picture sometimes, so what? Montaigne actually argued the whole "you don't have to draw strict lines around anything" thing as a kind of playful skepticism. The same goes for yourself. Don't be an exhibit in a museum, be a flamethrower of creativity across the canvas of chaos. The punchline: uncertainty is the raw material of existence. Think about it. If you absolutely knew everything that would happen, would you really do anything? Maybe not, because there'd be no surprise, no thrill. Embrace uncertainty and life starts to feel alive again. It's why children find joy in spontaneity and artists find beauty in improvisation. Confront uncertainty and you'll find resiliency, creativity, and a weird kind of freedom. Let's wrap up this mind bender with a few bullet train truths. Control is a mirage. The harder you chase certainty, the faster it will sprint away. Like that friend who always says, "I'll be there in 5 minutes." Let go, and you stop drowning in your own to-do list. Embrace "I don't know." It's not an admission of defeat, it's the first step to curiosity. Montaigne's lesson, you don't need answers, you need the guts to live without them. As he put it, there is nothing certain but uncertainty, and nothing more miserable and arrogant than man. We were never entitled to clarity, only curiosity. Laugh at the chaos. When life punches you in the face with unpredictability, grin like a champion. Who said you had to have all the answers on day one? The next best thing to knowing everything is learning on the fly. Just picture how Montaigne would snort upon seeing your crystal ball. He didn't even have Wi-Fi, and look how well he did. Drop the rigid labels. You are not a machine with a fixed blueprint. Politicians change their minds. Actors go from heroes to villains to heroes. Hello, MCU. If they can do it, so can you. Life's flavors change. Allow your personality playlist to skip tracks. Build resilience, not rigidity. Long-term, the one who survives isn't the one with the perfect plan. That ship sank, remember. It's the one who can pivot when the storm hits. If you think I'm just preaching doom, consider it a call to rebellion. This is your invitation to the Uncertainty Club. We have jackets in your imagination. Next time you find yourself sweating over unknowns, sneak a peek at Montaigne's essays instead of Instagram. You'll find comfort in company that says, "Hell yes, I feel totally messed up and that's great." We know you feel uncomfortable with doubt, so do we. Don't fight it, dialogue with it. Write your weird questions in the comments. What's the weirdest thing you thought certain about but turned out different? Let's compare stories. Hit like if you feel a tiny thrill at the idea of letting life surprise you. Subscribe because next time we're coming for the stay in your lane myth in an epic intellectual cage match. And hey, drop a comment on how you resist uncertainty or how you spectacularly failed and what you learned from it. Remember, the genius of Montaigne, Zen, and even a sprinkle of modern psychology is this: stop treating ambiguity as an enemy. In the battlefield of existence, uncertainty is the wild card that keeps things interesting. You don't need to have all the answers, because life's best questions come without a manual. Embrace that uncertainty, and suddenly life doesn't have to be so damn hard.